Harris is now up. She's got a lead in the opinion polls of 3.6. But of course, that's really within the margin of error. So at the moment, we get a blizzard of polls over here, and I know it's hard to keep up with all the numbers, but the bottom line is it's so close to call that any advantage that people can get, like Trump teaming up with RFK, is going to help them.
It's been great to have so many of you getting in touch this afternoon. Do keep your messages coming in. Text us on 87222. Start your message with the word Times. Tweet us at Times Radio. Email studio@times.radio. Or send us a WhatsApp 0333 003 2353. Now, an unpredictable 2024 presidential race is entering its final stretch, with Vice President Kamala Harris trying to build on the momentum of the week's Democratic National Convention. And the former President Donald Trump honing his lines of attack. The former president's early summer polling and fundraising advantages were wiped out in 5 weeks that saw Trump survive an assassination attempt, President Joe Biden drop his re-election bid, and Harris come to the top of the Democratic ticket. Well, Trump reclaimed the spotlight on Friday as he campaigned in Arizona alongside Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The independent candidate said the principles that led him to leave the Democrat Party had now compelled him to throw his support behind President Trump. Here's the moment Trump welcomed him on stage.
Tonight, I'm very pleased to welcome a man who has been an incredible champion for so many of these values that we all share, and we've shared them for a long time. I don't think too many of you people have heard of him. He's very low-key. He's a very low-key person, but he's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Well, that was Donald Trump welcoming Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on stage. David Charter is Associate US Editor of The Times. Hello, David.
Hello, Carol from Washington, D.C.
Good to have you with us. How significant do you think it is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has all but abandoned his own bid for the White House and is backing Trump?
Yes, I think it will count for something. We had seen his support dwindle, of course, in recent months, actually. Strange stories emerged from him about how he'd got a worm in his brain that had died there, and how he'd played a prank of leaving a dead bear cub in Central Park in New York. So these strange stories, all coming out from RFK Jr. himself, were sort of feeding into a narrative that he was an oddball. I've seen the Democrat response, which is that the Trump campaign has now got weirder. That will ring true to a lot of people as well. I have to say that when I went to RFK Jr. events, and I went to his launch in Philadelphia, actually, the people who were there were largely the crowd who were fed up with the two-party system, and they really wanted to shake things up in America. They wanted a break from the duopoly of the Republicans and the Democrats, and they really admired RFK Jr. for his willingness just to go against the grain where he felt necessary. They also rather liked his environmental credentials, which have been put to one side, of course, by getting in with Trump and the Republicans who think climate change is a hoax. So I don't know how it's going to play out exactly, but in a race like we're in, where every vote counts, I'm sure he'll bring some with him. It remains to be seen how many, though.
And isn't there also this risk that, as you mentioned there, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, is seen to have been pretty effective in dismissing both Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, as weird. When you then take on board somebody like Robert F. Kennedy, who's got some pretty wacky views on a number of things, that it really just plays into that Democrat narrative that the Republican leadership is frankly a bit weird.
Yeah, and that attack has struck home. You hear Trump complaining about it at his rallies, throwing his arms wide and saying, "They call me weird," as he stands there. And I'm not sure what reaction he expects from his crowd when he says that. But it's clearly got to him a little bit. Well, let's see how RFK Jr. Gets on the trail and how it goes for him. I have a suspicion, as I guess I was suggesting earlier, that a lot of his people they just don't like big machine politics, and the suspicion that RFK has got some sort of quid pro quo that we don't know about yet is rife, of course, among previous supporters. So some of them, of course, will welcome the fact that if he gets to become health secretary, it's called Health and Human Services, it's called over here in the cabinet, that he will be able to enact a lot of his vaccine skeptic positions and pull the United States back from all sorts of vaccination requirements and mandates that it's had in the past, that a segment of his support really likes, but I don't think it's certainly not a majority of Americans.
And we've just had a Democratic National Convention, a week which saw a lot of razzmatazz, a lot of celebrity backers, a string of former presidents throwing their support behind Kamala Harris, and what was seen to be a pretty successful week for her party and her campaign. And at the moment, it does still seem as though Donald Trump is struggling to try to have a coherent strategy for combating that beyond attacking her personally.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion in the last few days that Donald Trump's advisors are saying just stick to the policies, just stick to the fact that prices are still greatly elevated under the Biden-Harris administration. The grocery bill is much bigger than it was 4 years ago. The number of illegal migrants in the country is in the millions, and they did very little over the course of the administration to really stop that. And these are the two big issues that we constantly see at the top of the charts when people are asked what's the most important things to you, the economy and immigration. However, Trump is unable to keep the focus really on that, and does. And we even heard him trying out with one of his rally crowds, didn't we, a couple of days ago? What do you think I should do? Should I get personal or should I stick to policy? And of course, his crowd roared with approval when he said, "Shall I get personal?" He goes, "Oh yeah, of course I have to get personal." So that's the way he instinctively plays it. We're told that he really loathes Kamala Harris and can't help coming out with criticisms and insults of her because he feels that she'll be terrible for America, and he personally dislikes her very much. So that's the way the campaign's going to go, and it's been so topsy-turvy just in the last 6 weeks that it does seem like a hard race to predict. One note of caution I would sound about the polling is that really at this stage in 2020, Biden was 9.3 ahead. He ended up winning by 5.4, so like half the amount he was said to be ahead in August. Harris is now up. She's got a lead in the opinion polls of 3.6. But of course, that's really within the margin of error. So at the moment, we get a blizzard of polls over here, and I know it's hard to keep up with all the numbers, but the bottom line is it's so close to call that any advantage that people can get, like Trump teaming up with RFK, is going to help them.
And we still got this first debate between Trump and Kamala Harris, and she has faced some criticism for not actually agreeing to any proper political interviews, no news conferences where she can be challenged. She's had those big set piece events, such as the one that she had at her own party's convention. And that confrontation with Donald Trump in just under a couple of weeks' time is going to be pretty crucial, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's kind of intriguing to watch the Trump campaign on the side of the big corporate media for once, and very rarely in yelling out that Kamala Harris is negligent in not doing a big corporate media interview. The Trump campaign really wants that because they hope that she'll give them a few clips of squirming around on positions that she's taken in the past that she's now trying to finesse or repudiate entirely, which she will have to do with some of them. And it's working at the moment though for the Harris campaign to avoid the mainstream media. You know, quite a lot was made last week in Chicago that prime positions, prime media invitations were being given out to TikTok influencers. Well, maybe they're onto something because it's all the polling is trending in their direction. Every successive poll, every successive week, she's inching a little further ahead. And if it isn't broke, why do they need to fix it?